I have to be careful which way I look because the lighting in here is crazy today. But today we're going to talk about uterine dydelphis, uterus dydelphis, whatever you want to call it. Now, as you can see, it's a double uterus. Yeah, wild, right? There's a woman that lives in the South who is pregnant and has uterine dydelphis, and she has a baby in each uterus, which is, the chances of this are astronomical, and I wanted to explain what this is today. Let's jump into this. As you can see here, uterus dydelphis occurs when the two ducts, the Mullerian ducts, don't fuse properly during development of the fetus, and this happens really early on in development. These ducts usually join to create one uterus, so they fuse together and then a uterus grows. If you have a double uterus, the ducts didn't join and each duct turned into its own uterus. Some people even have two vaginas and two cervixes as well, but there's lots of variations of uterine abnormalities, and I'm going to show you that in just a second here. We're not going to talk about all of them though, but I am going to show you the different variations. Now, the dydelphis uterus is up there in the top corner, okay? And then there's uterus arcoctis, uterus bicorneus, and that is where the uteruses have two cervixes, two uteruses, and one vagina. There's a uterus bicorneus unicalis rudimentary horn. That looks like something that, what's that crazy guy's name? What's it? He wears like the funky bathing suit thing. You know what I'm talking about? What's his name? Borat. That looks like something Borat would wear. Weird. But that is a condition that people can have. And then there's atresia of the cervix, and I believe that is where the cervix is completely closed. Like there's no opening to the cervix at all. So you probably could not get pregnant unless they did some sort of a procedure. I don't even know. Or there's atresia of the vagina, which is probably easier to correct than atresia of the cervix. I'm not an OBGYN. I'm a midwife, so I don't know a lot about these things. But if you want to know a lot about these things, let me know and I will figure it out for you. So, next, this is a clearer picture of a uterine dydelphis anatomy, and I believe that the woman who is currently pregnant with two babies has this form of uterine dydelphis. So, as you can see, each uterus has its own ovary and fallopian tube connected, and there are two separate uteruses. Now, a pregnancy like this is considered high risk. I do know of one case that I personally worked on where the woman had a uterine dydelphis, but she was only pregnant in one uterus, and she did have a successful vaginal birth. But I don't know if somebody with twins is able to have a successful vaginal birth. I think the babies can even be born like days or weeks apart because one uterus could go into labor at a separate time than the other uterus. I know there have been cases as well where a woman had pregnancies in both uteruses that were weeks or months apart. So it's very dangerous to be pregnant with this condition, because if you have one baby in one uterus that is full term, but you have another baby in the other uterus that is, only 6 months along, say that's not viable. I mean, there is a risk that the one uterus going to labor can put the other uterus into labor, I believe, and it can get really wild from there. So if you have a million questions, please ask, because I want to have an excuse to learn so much more about this. However, props to that woman. She made medical history, and I hope that she goes on to have two lovely, healthy babies. And I believe she has a baby girl in each uterus, too. Can you imagine? That is just wild to me. So, in this situation, what happened, it sounds like, is that each ovary ovulated simultaneously or within a couple of days of each other. And then, she did the baby dance with her hubby, and she conceived a baby in each uterus. Magic. The female body never ceases to amaze me, and that's why I love being a midwife. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching, and namaste.